Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe. Hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patreons, I give you a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon, so a massive shout out of thanks and appreciation to Rod, Wazzle, Jason Hornsby, Christoph Fournier, John Travolta, JMals24, Unimento, M, Iron26, Endless, Goldie McKiernan, Retro Bill, More Books, Cannabear, Fibre Oats, Bogey, John Kays, Patrick Gunnels, Banter, Will Brax, Troy Shuker, Hairy Blade, Mobile Mac 777, Neo the One, Rob W, Reese Pound, Del West Watson, Maria Nealand, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, The Real Gabster, Abraham Mohammed, Skeptic 936, Life is Short, Texas Mike, David Wayne Foster, and Dank. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. I am actually also holding a GoFundMe campaign, so if you wanted to support the show in regards to its physical maintenance of the electronics that make the show tick, then I have a GoFundMe campaign as some of my aging electronics have gone bang and are out for repair. So I'm hoping to raise the repair costs at the least, but I've actually asked for more so I can hopefully replace these things with things that won't go bang every 3 to 6 months. So yes, if you did want to support that campaign, just click on the donate button. The only thing I would suggest is that you reduce the tip amount down to 0. So if you do enter an amount, drop the tip down to 0, unless of course you are particularly keen of supporting GoFundMe beyond what they take in the campaign anyway. So with that, I'm going to hand across to whoever is in Discord and Google so you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for today's live show.
Of the resulting explosion. Because neutron stars are spinning so fast and orbiting each other incredibly fast too.
As validated by what? We covered this in the pre-show. Your supposition of orbital motion, right? No. You looking at lights in the sky doesn't give you the right to assume that I, on a sphere Earth, assume to have a radius that can't be measured, and Venus having the same radius, to give you these scaling values, means that lights move around because they fall around each other because mass attracts mass, superseded by Einstein fourth-dimensional space-time. That's going to eventually make them crush. This is all nonsense.
The immense gravity, any material or radiation thrown out in the kilonova is thrown out in a disk or a thick donut-like shape.
AKA, I've looked at a light that looks like this in the sky. Therefore, what? Stuff gets thrown off because it's matter? You haven't validated any of this. And you're assuming the orbital motions that describe it in your story.
The plane of the orbit of the two new.
Ed.
She just used Brenda. For anybody that's just watching, you missed Brenda in the past, but the donut, the hole in the donut is space-time. Is that what she just? Is that just what she went with?
Certainly seems so.
Neutron stars. If you think about it, this makes a lot of sense. The reason for this is the same reason why if you take a ball of pizza dough and set it spinning above your head, it flattens out into a disc. It's due to the same force that you feel when you get on a roundabout and spin around. From your perspective as the one spinning, it feels like there's a force trying to push you off the roundabout. And
I mean, it feels like there is. Telling me she doesn't understand centrifugal forces. That is a force.
Out from the direction of its spin. That is the same.
No, it is moving the ball outwards. That isn't like an apparent force. That's actually happening.
No, you forget that they reverse it. In globe world, actual forces they call pseudo forces, and pseudo forces they call actual forces that you can think of as a force.
Well, hold on. Centrifugal force is a pseudo force because it's reference frame dependent. You're actually traveling straight, but because your body is wanting to travel straight, but because the roundabout is taking a curved path, it's a state of constant acceleration, and that's what you feel.
I stand corrected.
Material that's going to get thrown off in one of these kilonova events where you've got these two neutron stars orbiting around each other and spinning very, very fast. That is always what our models, our simulations, our predictions for what this kilonova event should look like.
Should look like? No. Models don't tell you what things should look like. Yeah, reality. That's what shows you what things should look like. Now, if you're going to predict an outcome, an effect, then you vary that which you assume causes the effect to see if it causes it. You don't come up with a simulation and say, this is what should happen. It's a reification fallacy. Models aren't reality. Models don't show me what should happen. Likewise, when I see a clock 20 miles away, I say clock. There it is, I see it. What I don't say is, I shouldn't see that clock. It's too far to see that clock. Earth curve should be in the way. No. The model doesn't tell me how far I should see, or what should be blocking it, or whether or not it's a mirage. Models don't have that capability. They don't have predictive capabilities. The prediction in science has no explanation attached to it, because it hasn't been validated. So whenever you describe models and simulations telling you what should happen, just be aware that the clouds that you followed are now being debunked by you because of how you say your model works. But that has no bearing on what should or shouldn't happen in reality. None.
Have looked like. Now, although the kilonova found in the galaxy NGC 4993 is relatively nearby,
No, because you're going to have to assume an R-value based orbital motion, and Kepler, therefore Venus has the same R-value as Earth, so you can get the scale for you to give us this value. Just stick to giving things names. What's that? You've spotted a new light in the sky? Yeah, you can give it a name if you like, love. It's about where your job should end. Yeah? Don't tell me how far it is, unless you've measured. What's that? You assumed orbital motion and Kepler and Venus being the same R-value as Earth can't have measured. Therefore it's this distance. Why aren't you disclaiming all of the assumptions that go along with this nonsense? Yeah, don't tell me how far it is. I find it extremely insulting. Unless you've measured it, love. Have you measured it? When you had a little look and got all excited and all pointed your telescopes at the light in the sky? No, you did not. Don't tell me how far this light is.
the image you can get of this.
Yes.
Hold on. I know what the problem is. She's suffering what refracted curvature suffered from. He thought they actually had measurements, and so does she.
Well, I find that insulting.
Yeah.
She hasn't.
Well, she's got to have R first, and they don't have that.
Right. Every scale that she's going to apply that value from is going to be derived from an R value they can't measure. So I don't accept any of these measurements. I don't accept orbital presuppositions. I don't accept that we're on a rock falling around the sun, when it obviously isn't the case when I look at traverse over my head. No, I don't accept any of this. So I'm definitely not going to accept the distance unless she shows some actual valid measurements. Now, we've
I
debunked
think
the
this
fact that Earth curve is not a representative hill at your tangent point at height to measure R with. So she's not going to get away with just telling us how far these lights are. She has no authority in this regard. Go ahead, whoever that was.
I think chocolate and me.
Go ahead, Chocolate.
Perhaps not. All right. So I think this is a good time for the audience to hear what they need to measure R is a tangent line. But their excuse for not seeing R is refraction. So if you got refraction as an argument against it, then how'd you ever measure it with a tangent line? And why is it always changing, where each day would give you a different R value? Can you go over that for the audience, Rick?
We don't have a fixed point geometric limitation. A hill, if you were measuring it, won't move with the weather. You won't wake up one day and think, you know that shop that's on the other side of that hill? What do you know? I can see the shop. The hills move behind it. Because it's a bit foggy. We've got a lot of refraction today, therefore I can see a shop that was formerly obscured by the hill. That never happens. Physical hills don't move. But they do in Earth curve geometry, which takes place in Muppet vision, in side view, where they claim, when viewing the side of your own head represented by O in this diagram, that you can not only measure a point of tangency at G with a straight line tangent to derive R, but you can also take that R that you've just measured at G and use it to bend the G you just measured to a different point. Obliterating
Oh,
geometry.
Oh, hold on. Like, oh, yeah, a hill. Oh, something behind the hill. You might not see it due to refraction. Well, that's only because the hill is not big enough, right? If the hill were big enough, like the Earth sphere, then it would happen. But hills aren't that big. So the refraction's not effectively going to bend around it like that. It only happens with the Earth sphere.
In side view,
I
when you
would
see the
like-
side of your own head. and it all takes place below surface level in the mathematics. So it's absurd.
Ah, excellent. Yep. Yeah. Are physical hills below, do they have a negative altitude?
No. Feel free to double check if you want to go to Google Earth and draw out an elevation profile of the entirety of the known surface of our Earth. You'll see that the elevation profile is referenced to 0. It raises, it lowers, but is always referenced to the flat plane that we're actually dwelling atop because they have to use it to build things. Google Earth Pro is used by professionals to make things exist where they did not before on the plane of the Earth that we exist on, that doesn't have negative altitudes for things that exist beyond the horizon when you assume that it's a hill getting in the way. We've debunked that. It's not. The Earth curve hill that blocked boats and buildings with a physical tangent point measurable at the horizon was debunked in 2020. Black Swan. If the Earth was a sphere with a radius of 3959 miles, then every distance to that tangent point horizon could be measured no more than 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet, exactly laid down in the Earth curve maths, and we've shown it beyond that. Black Swan. Earth's not a sphere, it doesn't have a measurable radius, and to assert that the refraction is the reason why we can't see things that should be blocked by Earth curve is to say that you haven't got a geometric measurement to give you the R to give you the refraction. It's a paradox.
Right, but even outside of that paradox, whether they want to refract it or not, it would still have to be below surface level, which is nonsensical.
Right, it's just a paradox of origin. It doesn't mean that they can't just say, no, it was always just there. Like, they can do that to them. They're okay with that.
They can, they do. But we ask for a measurement and they don't have one then, do they? Where it was claimed to be measured after acquisition of height measurements of a mountain by Al-Biruni to be derived from a geometric tangent point physical Earth curve edge horizon to get their R in Al-Biruni's backstory for a globe Earth. So they might say it, but it doesn't alter the geometry, and it doesn't alter the geometry and its necessity for a tangent point horizon, does it, Arwin?
Well, yeah, they might not have a measurement, but they'll still have a calculation, and they will definitely see that as good as an actual measurement, and they might even call it a measurement, even though it's a calculation.
At the root of it all, there is a measurement. It's flat Earth angle measurements to Polaris, which is the basis for their globe.
To Brian's logic.
This with the Hubble Space Telescope is a fuzz blob at best, right? And it...
There you go. Even admits it. We looked at this blob. We gave it a name and number. Where your job should end, Becky. Yeah? Save yourself the embarrassment of the people you're saying were wrong by not making the same mistakes they did. Don't go above and beyond what you should really be doing. That's giving lights in the sky names. That's it. That's all you should be doing.
It had faded too much since
That's like the other astrophysicist lady who was asked, is it honest to be telling people that you've got volcanoes, rivers, and what looks like a pixel? And she said, yeah, that's not right. We shouldn't be doing that. And numerous times said we should change the model whenever she was encountered with a problem. Maybe Becky and her should have a good talk.
2017 for us to observe it with JWST, the James Webb Space Telescope, by the time it had launched and started taking science observations in July 2022.
Science observations. It's a composition fallacy. The scientific method involves observations of natural phenomena. It then involves formulation of a scientific prediction, otherwise known as a hypothesis, with a supposed cause of the effect and a null that supposes it won't cause it. It then involves systematic experimentation, that's hypothesis actualization, to vary that which you assume caused the effect to see if it caused it. That's called an experiment. Upon variation of assumed cause, it will either cause the effect you're studying or not cause the effect you're studying, leaving you with an empirical outcome upon hypothesis actualization. Now, you claiming that observations are science observations, yeah, that's the kind of I just shit the bed with that statement face I'd expect you to pull when I say that to you. Yeah? There aren't scientific observations, it's a composition fallacy. That is to say, you're taking part of the description of the scientific method and applying it as though it applies to the whole. No. One step is to observe phenomena. Looking at lights in the sky and giving them names is where your job should end.
too. Although there are multiple projects that have awarded time on JWST that are aiming to target any new kilonova whenever they happen to go off.
Right, by target it, you mean look at it. That's what you'll actually be doing. Yeah, lots of claim to be scientists, wannabe pretender clowns stealing valor from a method they're not following, want to have a look at it. Right, Becky? And if they're lucky and they've come up with enough just so stories, they might be given the privilege of naming something. Right, Becky?
Off. Unless one goes off in our own galaxy, though, we're not going to be able to get...
In our own galaxy. We've just got the sky. Right, are you asserting that there's a different set of skies for different areas in a heliocentric model with orbital motion? Because I don't accept that. Yeah, just look at the sky and name stuff.
An actual image of the shape of a kilonova very easily. So you have to...
You can look at it and tell us its shape. Yeah, that would be self-evident after looking at it, though, wouldn't it, Becky? Yeah, I mean, I suppose I could stretch to you describing what you looked at. You know, in terms of how it appeared to you. That would be about a stretch too far when you start massaging in explanations, though, my love.
To get a little bit clever if you want to figure it.
Figure out what? If it's an effect you've observed in nature, figuring out the cause of it would be putting it through the scientific method, like actually living up to the name scientist that you're stealing valor from. That would be figuring stuff out. What caused that light in the sky to behave that way? Behave that way, that's a phenomena. You can classify it in the scientific method. That's a phenomena you've observed. Now, if you're going to actually science it, you presume a cause of the effect, vary it, and see if it caused it. Have you done that? No, just stick to naming stuff.
Sneppen and collaborators did this month, with observations taken with the Very Large Telescope in Chile between 1.4 and 5.4 days after the AT 2017 GFO kilonova event was originally detected.
So they looked at it for a long period of time. Okie dokie.
Data they got was what's known as a spectrum, where you take the light from the object that's been collected by the telescope and you split it through a prism into its component wavelengths, so that then you can get a trace or a graph of how much light at each wavelength you detect. And that can tell you so much about an object from...
Really? What was between you and it? Do you know?
Yeah, she's trying to invoke the science of spectroscopy, I believe.
Science, spectroscopy is not a science. It's a study. But nevertheless, she's trying to steal valor from a validated data collection method, and that's spectroscopy. Okay, yeah, that's done in controlled environments, though, isn't it, Becky? Yeah? Like, they'd have these very tight seals. They'll potentially seal out everything from the outside and suck out everything from the inside. And then they'll perform whatever test that they're going to do. Test not being in a scientific context, because they're just studying this stuff. They're not experimenting with it. Go ahead.
They're doing it in a vacuum when they do actual spectroscopy, and definitely not with a big amount of gases in between the light source and the sensor and the object that they're literally trying to figure out using that technique, right? So if you're going to do it by shining or aiming a telescope up there with all that area in between, there's absolutely no logical reason to think that you would actually be getting information about material you're looking at.
Right. So in essence, what you're saying, Arwin, is she's even cocked up having a look at things. I mean, there was me thinking she was qualified enough to have a look and perhaps describe it. But she's even managed to balls that up, hasn't she? Yeah, you've even gone beyond the very limited scope of what I think you should be doing by trying to describe things that would be taking place in an area of study that controls the environment. But you think you can decide what these light spectrum tell you when you haven't got the vaguest idea what's between you and them? Oh, right. What a complete farce. Go on.
I mean, it's just like, oh, look, we derived from the sunlight that there must be hydrogen there. Could it be that the sun is hydrogen? Or could it be that you're literally just deriving light from the hydrogen that's probably up there, right?
Probably. They don't know.
Nonsense.
They haven't controlled for any of it.
Right. they can't control it. They can't quickly figure out like, oh, let's control this variable to see whether it's actually doing something.
Exactly.
No, they just take the reading and then they divine the reading.
How hot it is.
Go on, John.
I was going to say, could they control the valve that allows gas to escape into the space at the Kármán line? Just turn that valve on and let all the gas escape so they can do that measurement?
I don't know. She hasn't explained about the gases at the Kármán line. I think she's potentially describing this maybe coming from a orbiting satellite in the sky vacuum. Maybe she's getting around this by suggesting that these images are taken from space. I don't know. I didn't really catch that part. I wasn't paying attention.
Well, you need the code for the locker, right? So the code is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Thanks.
That's the way you get out of the
1, 2,
airlock.
3, 4, 5. I have that same combination on my luggage.
Right,
Nobody would put that as a combination. That's stupid.
I'm changing my number.
Sorry, chocolate.
Is like what its temperature is to what it's made of. Here is that data that's.
Was that someone from Discord that wanted to say something? Don't be shy. Was that someone from Discord?
Go ahead and continue, please.
Okay, fresh flowers, fresh grown flowers.
Snapper and collaborators collected, and it goes from optical wavelengths into the infrared. You've got a full spectrum on the left-hand side, and then you've got to zoom in on a very big dip in the light, which is caused by...
Caused? There's that word again. So we're ascribing cause. Really, scientist? There was me thinking that there's a method in place that establishes cause empirically. But we're going to have a little look at a graph. I mean, it's not like we've pulled apart the graph based on the data set that it's been pulled from. That would be to say that you've got no control of what's between you and the thing that you're observing. And you're claiming absolutely astronomical distances between you and it. So do you know precisely what's between you and the observation, Becky? Yeah, like I said earlier, you've even messed up looking at stuff. This is beyond the scope of what you should be doing, Becky.
Strontium absorbing light at those wavelengths.
And you've excluded that from every single millimetre of the space between you and the observation, have you, Becky? To make sure it hasn't skewed your result in any way. Oh, you haven't? Oh, really? Yeah, you're going to make a video about how dumb you are and how wrong you got it based on the lack of controls? Yeah? Oh, when we were shocked and shaken when the flat earther pointed out how totally flawed our methods were. Yeah, that won't happen.
That feature should actually be just a very...
Should it? Why? Because you've established cause and effect reasoning through the scientific method, therefore you can tell us what's what.
Skinny gap where you're missing just one specific wavelength that we...
Why? Because of what? As established by what? The phenomena-based experiment was what? Your hypothesis was what, Becky?
We know that strontium...
We know! Because you eliminated it from every millimetre of the space between you and the observation, because you're a scientist. Oh, no, you didn't look between you and the space, did you? You just looked at this thing in the sky through your little telescope and decided that it was going to be based on this graph. Because this graph is controlling for everything in every bit of the known space between you and it. Yeah, obviously. Totally valid, yeah. Excellent methodology, Becky.
Absorbs that. But the thing is that strontium is moving incredibly fast as it's thrown out in the kilonova.
Because you measured its speed at the point of its origin. It wasn't an R-based orbital assumption that you've imposed onto the lights in the sky that you're looking at on your telescope or anything like that. No. It's definitely not. It's because you've measured the speed of strontium in an intergalactic explosion as it follows entropic law after following gravitational law that's not a force that's actually crushing it. Right, Becky?
So we get a Doppler shift. Some of the strontium is moving away from us. So
validated by what? This graph? Is this what validated it? No. Definitely stepping over your bounds here, Becky. Yeah, we're not impressed. Yeah, disciplinary action on your way.
We see that absorption at a higher wavelength, and some of the strontium is moving towards us. So it gets blue shifted, and we see that absorption at a low wavelength, and what should be a very, very sharp feature gets smeared out. And what you
based on what? Your assumptions of the distances and time values given you by your AU value that's been derived from R when you talk about the speed that light travels? Is that what you're deriving this on, Becky? You see, all of the aspects of the timing that you've given we can debunk also. I think you need to make a video pointing out how wrong this model was. When you made this mathematical model, you didn't know any better. Yeah, well, I've told you better now, haven't I, Becky? Go on, and someone else is going to tell you better now.
Assumption,
Go ahead, John.
I was going to say there's also the assumption that blue things are coming towards you and red things are moving away from you. That's weird.
You can do to the spectra of light from kilonova is fit a model to it, so you can say, okay, that is what's going on here.
Reification fallacy. Models don't tell me what's going on here. You understand? They can give you an indication of what you've observed, and you can try and replicate it. It doesn't mean that that's the cause. It doesn't mean that's what's going on here. That's a reification fallacy.
Isn't it funny how she just tried to flip it? She just said we put the model to it, and that tells you what's going on. No. What's going on is what's going on. You just put a model to it.
Exactly.
Like, what are you talking about, lady?
Yeah, and the models we fit are fairly simple. They're called black body models, and they essentially tell you about the amount of light at each wavelength you should expect from an object of a given temperature. So you can do this with everything from lava to the sun and to the whole universe. We've understood this for a very long time, since the work of Gustav Kirchhoff in the 1850s. Now, what's cool is that Sneppen and collaborators...
What in the world? She's giggling excited about what she just said. What in the world?
That's what I was thinking. Like, what is so funny? It's kind of like that same inflection they have in their voice, like the other ones, right? That we listen to when they get to something that's a little crazy. What do they start saying? You know, it might sound crazy, right? Or it sounds unbelievable, but you know, this is what the fact is. She sounds just like that with her little giggle right now.
Is realize the shape of that spectrum of light that you get, or the shape of the black body, should actually change depending on how fast each side of the kilonova explosion was moving. So if the velocity along the line of sight was more or less than the transverse velocity perpendicular to us. So if
Okay. Pause, please. I mean, so she's got us into the kilonova exploding. We're in this fallacy. We're just like arguing in the violation of the second law of thermodynamics with outer space. So everyone who follows her is in the storytelling time as if any of this is proven. My goodness.
If our simulations or models of what's happening in these kilonova events are right, and that you...
In the scientific method, it also has if and then statements. If A, supposition of cause, then B, effect studied in nature. Now, if you want to label it, love, you can give it a name, I don't mind. You want to call this a supernova? No worries. I'll use your terminology, that's how much respect I'll extend to your astronaming job. Okay, so we've got this supernova. Now, you're saying that your model would suggest this by starting it with an if statement. Well, that's a statement in logic, and you claim to be a scientist, so I'd expect you to know that in the scientific method, the if statement is the if, followed by the supposition of cause for the effect that's being studied. If A, supposition of cause, then B, supernova. That's what I expect if you're going to steal the valor from science. You give us your supposition, we ask for it. That's why it's one of the housekeeping questions. Any scientific hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy. This isn't that, love. Good.
I was gonna say it kind of just sounds like, because she's been talking about her models and simulations this entire video, right? Well, she just said, well, if our models are right, so what you're talking about, none of this has been proven, huh, lady? But you spend an hour talking about something that's not been proven, and then want to end it with, well, if it's right, then we know what's going on. Okay, lady.
I kind of feel bad for her because she has a job that has to be incredibly boring. And if there's something new to name in the sky, I'm sure it's a big deal to them.
What's the title of the video, Nathan, again? For chocolate's sake?
It's why kilonova spherical. Why is this killer nova spherical, open brackets, and not donut shaped, close brackets, question mark, exclamation mark?
So they don't have their models right. They're always changing it.
What I didn't catch. What is this kilonova supposed to be? Another like a supernova? It's
Light
like
in
an
the sky.
explosion in space.
It's something they've looked
Oh,
at.
okay.
Something they've looked at in their telescopes.
And gave it a cool name. Copy that.
In the spirit of how I would want to be treated, should Becky, of all people, actually respond to us pulling apart her complete nonsense narrative and pointing out that she's working beyond her station when she starts doing things beyond naming things and giving them little numbery titles, right? I would hope that should she respond, she would put a link to my video and say, look, this is the video we were responding to. This is a channel called Dr. Becky, and here's a link to Dr. Becky now in the live stream. So go and check out Dr. Becky's video. But I'm going to labour this a little bit more today. I encourage you to go to whoever we're responding to, in this case Becky, and say, Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. Now that's the bare minimum I'd hope you did if you were to follow my instruction. Obviously, I'm not the boss of you, you don't have to do anything. But if you were to do so, the minimum I'd hope you'd do is put the channel name so they know exactly who's talking about them, Nathan Oakley 1980, and let them know the positive bit. Sent me. Helping you algorithmically. Now, further to that, if you don't want to get your comment deleted, the best thing you can do, straight off the bat, give them a compliment. Thank you for producing this excellent video. Or words to that effect. Or just great video. Something that's going to suggest that you're not super combative and just trying to promote some other YouTuber on their much more popular channel, because that's the only reason you're there, right? To promote me. That's the ultimate goal. I'm not going to beat around the bush about it. I want them to promote me because I don't get the same level of promotion that our anti-flat earth opponents get. So I want to look at new ways to achieve that. Russian Vids started doing this several years ago. Every time he lost a channel, go and tell the person I'm reacting to that I sent you. Russian Vids sent you. Now, as I say, my expansion on that is to say, give them a little compliment. When I say, great video, Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me, to respond, gave you a like, that's much more likely to keep the comment up. Yeah? That's it. So, in that spirit, in light of me hoping that anybody that responds to me would extend the same courtesy and share my video on their more popular channel, hopefully giving me the opportunities that I sorely lack in YouTube's algorithm. There's Becky's response, video that we're responding to link. Please go and let her know, Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. We loved your video so much that we responded to it. Words to that effect. Anyway, I'm sorry to drag that out a little bit, guys, but I just want to make that clear because there is a very clear intent behind me doing this when I share their video. Now, do I say this bit? Yeah, why not? Why not just be completely honest? I don't want to promote Becky. I don't want to help you algorithmically, Becky. Yeah? I do it purely so that should you respond to me, you'd extend the same courtesy. That's the only reason I'm doing it. Yeah? It grieves me to have to share your link with people. But in the spirit that I would expect others to do unto me as I do for them, I would hope that where it's been sorely lacking from your Simon Dans and whoever else, your Joe Normie anti-flat earther may not extend that courtesy even though they're eating our own lunch when they get promoted above us. I'd hope that the people that we respond to in what we consider to be the upper echelons of Globe Faith would extend me the courtesy and share my link with their audience. Like I say, offering me some promotion where it's sorely lacking. Sorry to drone on about that, guys. No one's got anything to add.
You do actually get this sort of like fat donut or disc of material being thrown out in the explosion, then one of these velocities should be larger than the other. That's what's plotted in the...
It should, according to your model. Yeah, that's establishing causal reasoning based on your mathematical graphs that we've pulled apart in terms of their total lack of validity, lack of control.
the blue and the purple lines here, with the dots and dashes just being like an increasing difference in the velocities.
Velocities that are based on heliocentric assumptions and AU values that we can debunk because of their R origin, your Earth radius origin for these mathematics. So no, you're not going to get away with any of this. I'll do it every time you do it. I'll point out where it's wrong every time you use it.
Whereas plotted in the green line there is the model for when the two velocities are...
that are based on R values and assumptions of speeds of light that you can't give us. Yeah, I'm going to do it every time.
Equal, i.e. the kilonova explosion is happening in a perfect sphere. And if you look at these model lines compared...
How have you possibly come to the conclusion that the light in the sky has three-dimensionality to it? How have you done
I got
that?
this one.
Go on, John.
She assumed the Doppler effect was applying to these lights, and that the blue ones were moving towards her, the red ones were moving away, giving her another axis and for this delusion to take place in.
She's got monovision, single telescopes. None of them are binocular. So how has she ascribed 3D sphericity to this? She can't. You're stepping over the line, my love. You know, you don't even... It seems you don't even understand the equipment that you're using. Are these binocular telescopes? How far apart are they? To be able to justify giving us any sense of three-dimensionality at the scales you assume with R. Oh, you're not? Yeah, just a sham. Just a scam. Just a farce. Shyster. Lying. Show us the binocular representation mathematics to give you sphericity. Show us. She won't have it. She's a scummy liar.
Is she even the one using this stuff? Like, I mean, I'm not watching the video, but is she showing what she's seeing looking through this supposed telescope, or is she talking about something somebody else saw some other time, some other day?
I think based on what we've had from past experience with Becky, what she does is gets this graph sent to her via email. And then because it's come via email, she thinks reading a graph is science. So then she goes to her audience and says, I sit doing my science, opening my emails. That's where we get that sort of comment
latte. Yep. Well, because, email exists, so therefore science,
No, but that's what I mean. The context in reality of that statement is that she'll get a graph like this sent to her on email. She opens it and thinks she's doing science when she looks at it and studies it and reads the explanation that the person who's actually made the observation, not in binocular vision for her to assert sphericity, has told her via email. That's what she actually meant. I'm not suggesting that her opening her browser and going to her email provider is her thinking she's doing science, although we dumb it down that way for the sake of humour. We know in reality she's opening emails from other scientists and reading things like this.
Compared to the data that's shown in the background there in grey, hopefully you can see that the best fit black body model is the green line.
Oh, well then that must be the world we live in! If this is the best black body model... What clown.
The velocities are equal, i.e. the kilonova.
Right, velocities based on the assumption of the AU value and the distances scaled with Kepler's third law of interplanetary motion based on an R value you can't measure at the geometric horizon superimposed onto Venus. Those values, those distances, those velocities. No.
Is spherical. And it's not just in that old...
It's because of the binocular vision or because of this graph and the dip that you're inferring with the Doppler effect. That gives you the extra axis that John describes? No, it didn't. No, you're definitely overstepping the bounds here.
Overall spectrum with those black body model fits that Stepan and collaborators see this. They also see it when they...
Is collaborated another word of a way of saying correlated? Your non-causal, non-physical models correlated with what you say reality is based on these deductions from the graphs? With zero control for the observation and the medium that you're looking through when you observe something that's claimed to be absolutely in huge distances away from you. Is that it? Is it? That's the best black body model comparison, therefore real? Wow. What a low standard, Becky.
Look at the shape of that strontium absorption feature. Because
a strontium absorption feature or graph with very little control for the data sets that have been given to the graph. Yeah, I think it's the latter, Becky.
Again, that smearing is based on how fast the strontium is moving in
in the assumption of an R-based orbital mechanic that Kepler's given you the scaling values with the third laws of interplanetary motion, and Venus having the same value of R superimposed onto it after measuring a geometric horizon debunked in 2020? Are those speeds, Becky? No. Every time you use them, though, I will say that.
In each of the directions. And once again, the green line with equal velocities in both directions is the best.
What velocities would those be, Becky? I'm not going to do it again.
Best fit to the data, again shown
They
in the
best fit, are they? They best fit the data, therefore reality. Well, weak standard.
grey, or more coarser bin data, which is shown in the black there. Once again, suggesting that the line of sight...
Suggesting? What happened to proving with cause and effect reasoning in place? What about systematic experimentation? Go ahead. Go ahead, whoever that was.
I think, well, it wasn't me, but I think this does prove that she is not the source of the things she's saying. She is more of a puppet who's just repeating.
Well, like a talking head. Like a bobbling talking head that parrots off what she's been emailed, that sort of thing. Whatever gave you that idea?
Velocity and the transverse velocity.
Velocity? We enter the velocity again. Which velocity would that be? Would it be an AU-based velocity? Would it be a speed of light, two-way directional type velocity that's based on Kepler's third law of interplanetary motion, bending space-time? Which velocity would that be, Becky?
Velocity were equal, and that this kilonova wasn't the donut shape that had long been predicted, but perfectly spherical.
Okie dokie. Binocular vision notwithstanding, right, Becky?
That's weird. The neutron
Who is it? No, it's just bollocks.
stars are spinning so fast that you should get a spherical shape.
So fast. I've got a bit of a cold. I've got no room to speak here.
You should get that material being thrown out in a disk. So what is...
Should we? The models say it should go out in a disk, but you didn't observe it in that way. So, conclusion, model's wrong. But new model definitely right. It's the best fit of the black body model. Do you not recognise this problem here, Becky? Is it beyond you to recognise that when you debunk some just so story, because the observations, not the cause and effect reasoning based on scientific experimentation, but the just so stories based on the prior observations, and their stories didn't match what you saw in the sky this time. So what? It should have been a donut, but man, it's completely spherical. Yeah, it wasn't supposed to be donut shaped because your best fit model said it was going to be. Yeah, so it was wrong. But what's that? You got a new one? You got a new best fit? You're a clown if you don't recognise the problem in this, Becky. Like a complete clown.
causing this kilonova to be...
Causing? Oh my God, every second word I've got to stop the video. Cause in science is established through systematic experimentation based on a hypothesis after observing natural phenomena you want to know the cause of. Okay? You're going to get this down one day, Becky. You're going to get a pen.
Spherical instead. Snap it.
Instead? So it's like an alternative. The universe decided it was going to do something different to your model. Mind-blowing. You don't have any causal influence over the universe with these models, Becky. That's the problem.
Collaborators sort of discussed a few different ideas amongst them, and they said if you had another source of energy in the explosion, it could...
Oh, I see. So if there's another source of energy... Did you prove the first one? How is it that we now got a second source of energy? So the first source of energy that was going to be part of the predictive model that was proven wrong was wrong. What should we do, guys? We'll have a meeting. Get Becky in. Becky, sit down, love. You take notes. You got a pen? You haven't? You're useless to us. Right, lads. What we're going to do here is we're going to create a second source of energy in the Just So story. Bang! You come up with the mathematicians. You go and talk shite on camera, Becky. We all clear? It's go time! Heliocentrism! Ahoy!
could cause it to puff up and become...
Could cause it? There's that word again. Cause is established through systematic experimentation based on a hypothesis, Becky. Not could cause it after looking at your emails.
Spherical. All right, so what could be some possible sources?
Any comment while we've got a few ads?
first and obvious one to look at is all of those radioactive decays that are going on. Are they giving you enough energy to puff up this kilonova explosion?
What radioactive decays? You've decided that they're radioactive decays because the model that was wrong said they were radioactive decays. So if you add to the formerly disproven, you're making concessions for model that was wrong with an addition of an extra energy. You're not seeing the problem here? Anybody else? Just so I'm, 100% clear. Is everybody in the audience clear about what's going on? Where I say, do you not see the problem with you coming up with a new Just So story and now incorporating the old Just So story into the new Just So story with a new energy source that hasn't been validated because they've decided at a meeting that that's what's going to be the potential reason for this observation without validation? Does everybody in the audience understand why that's a problem for her, especially when she's pointing out how it's a problem for the old model being wrong when she comes up with a new Just So story? Is everybody clear about what the problem is here in the audience? Please let me know. Yes, Nathan, it is definitely clear how stupid it is to just add a new layer of garbage onto an old broken Just So story you're making apologetics for.
It's like a
Super
pyramid
clear,
scheme
Nathan.
of storytelling, Nathan. Like, oh yeah, we made a story. Now we got something to work on. Oh, no dilemmas. Oh, well, what if there was just another one of these things? Oh yeah. Now we can keep going. She's just improvising basically within the conceptual, losing track of like actually staying empirical and physical, completely losing that out of sight. That's what's happening.
Yeah, it's embarrassing. I just feel that these people have overstepped the boundaries because there's been such a grandiose lie attached to the sky vacuum and space and the lights in the sky. The people who observe the lights in the sky suddenly feel that they've got a part in telling the story of this grandiose lie about what the lights in the sky are. No, just name them. Just give them little names. Every time you find a new one, give it a name. Every time you see something in the sky doing something weird, show us. We'll have a little look at it with you. What's that? We can't come up with the stories about why it was caused that way. Yeah, we wouldn't dare to, given that we understand what science is. Oh, what? Hold on. You say you should have the authority to come up with the Just So story, and when it doesn't work, you should have the authority to bullshit up a new Just So story on top of the old one, whilst chuckling about how wrong the old one was, and how its predictions didn't get it right. But yet scientific predictions offer empirical outcomes if you validate them through experimentation, Becky. So, your whole fraud, pseudoscience scam of science when you claim it is annoying to everybody on this panel. Frustrating at best. Anyway, I'm going to do a quick plug. So I've currently got a GoFundMe campaign going. And given that every single anti-flat earther out there and the increased amount of search results that we are having currently for flat earth is lining their pockets quite nicely. It's reached a point through no fault of my audience, admittedly, where I have run out of money to actually fix something that's broken in the context of making this show. I can actually find the damn thing. Where's my GoFundMe campaign? I'm not going to find it. I'm not going to fiddle around. I'm just going to plug it verbally because I can't find it to bring it up on screen. Anyway, I've got a GoFundMe campaign running. So I've got a couple of broken amplifiers. One of them's actually out for repair currently. And they've been constantly breaking for months, if not years. And I just go through this cycle of spending huge chunks of money on repairing custom parts because they were expensive. My ideal situation would be to just replace the damn thing and never have to worry about them for another 3 or 4 years, hopefully, with a warranty. But at the moment, that's not the case. So I'm chasing up repair guy who's lost his wife recently to try and get the thing back in a reasonable amount of time, only for it to inevitably probably go bang again and cause me a load of stress. Anyway, that's what I've got a GoFundMe campaign going on. On the bright side, there's been people who've supported it so far, and typically it's a first world problem, so I can understand people going, oh, I don't want to support that. Fair enough, I understand. But if, on the other hand, you do like the show and you appreciate that I do need equipment to actually make it run, and sometimes it's beyond my control when it goes bang, hopefully you'll support my GoFundMe. There should be a link going by in the live stream chat, and should I remember, I'll put a link to it. There should be one in the info box as well. So, yes, please support my GoFundMe campaign so I can hopefully get some tatty old equipment that was very nice in its day replaced with something a bit more appropriate, less grand, but a bit more reliable. So that's my GoFundMe campaign. But with that, I'm going to say, if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow, and we'll do a bit more coverage of Becky and her nonsense in the after show. A massive thank you to all of you who smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, went to Becky and let her know that Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me, because we did a reaction to your fantastic video. Love your stuff, by the way, Becky. Yeah, I've been Nathan Oakley. Stay tuned if you're watching an after show, and I'll see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!
I don't know how much more I want to do with Becky, actually. Can you shut the door, please, Eleanor? I've had enough of Becky for today. What about you?
We were just discussing how sweet it was that you give her sugars at the end.
What's that mean? Give her sugars.
The kiss.
Oh, okay. I don't know why I did that. It's lack of sleep. I don't know. I'm functioning on autopilot to a certain degree.
Well, you know, like Chocolate said, she seems like a nice lady, and she does. You know, like she's just bought into something that's so dumb that she don't realize it. You know, because everyone else around her believes it. She just repeating what she's heard or been told.
I forgot to take the recording off pause. So what I do typically in the morning is I'll set up the show, do my intro, press pause, share the link, go into the Discord server, size it all up on screen, and then unpause the recording. So then, obviously, once it's all set, so you don't have like 3 minutes of me moving screens around. But today I forgot to unpause it, so the whole first section where we went through the video of Becky's has been lost to the sands of time, I'm afraid.
What?
I forgot to start the recording. We went live. That bit is there. But then about 15 minutes into the live stream, I look down and I'm like, huh, why is that light flashing? Oh, okay. We're recording now, though.
Poor Dr. Becky isn't going to be able to realize her folly now. We're just going to have to do all that again.
Yeah.
No, she can go back to her models and simulations and come up with the answer to their crisis, which is probably coming from their models and simulations. See how that works?
That's how NASA works, I believe. You know, I don't know this, but I believe it's like you have compartmentalized sections within the company, and then you have engineers that design stuff to go into space, and then you have engineers that design problems that instrument could run into, and then you have another set that designs solutions to the problems that the first set created. You know, so it's like a big circle of people thinking they're actually doing something.
Yep. Then you got the few guys at the top just sitting there laughing, like, haha, look at these peasants running around doing our bidding. As we shower them with cartoons and such.
Yeah, that's hard to defend, you know.
Did any of you catch the trimmed out bit from Astra Kobe?
Nope.
There was a section on yesterday's
video. Are you
video.
talking about the short? The short you played?
It wasn't exactly short. It was about 5.5 minutes, but yeah.
Yeah, that was excellent. I was going to tell you, that was outstanding. I'm glad you did that.
It required no well, I say no editing. It required minimal editing, slapping an intro and outro and then giving you a little repeat section as an intro. But that was it. There wasn't any editing done. So when I was listening back to it, you always know when it's a good show because, well, I do, because I want to go back and watch it. You know, you as soon as it's uploaded, I'm like, I really want to listen to that bit again. So I went back, and as he's disseminating his position, he starts questioning whether or not we've got any evidence. Now, in the live stream, what happens next is we go on to him critiquing Jaren and Bob, and we have to concede that reasonable enough to critique them based on their claim of having a scientific experiment that failed. But in the meantime, the only reason he's out there looking for science to find Jaren or Bob is because he's got a misapprehension of the standard that needs to be applied. So we correct him on the, or I correct him on the standard, and then give him the evidence that I would postulate for a flat Earth, in the form of the elevation angle argument. Well, that all took place in about 3 minutes. And like I say, I just, whoop, one end, stuck it on the video. Very easy. And when I listened to it back, I was like, wow, that's really good. I know it's me saying I shouldn't be so big-headed, but it's just like, you know, I detach myself from me actually saying it when I'm editing it. It's just like, how easy is it to edit? If it's convoluted and requires a lot of work, then it's like, I could have done better. But in this case, I'm like, well done, Nathan, as a third person.
Well, I'll say, well done, Nathan. And I'm glad you put that evidence in there, because now people are going to hear the evidence. It's not just a globe debunking anymore, people.
I wonder if it's going to be enough. I wonder if this Kobe guy is going to have like the competence of rational thought to listen to it if he does see it and understand it.
Okay, let me get you into something. I don't know if Tanth's still around. It doesn't look like he is. So when I was in sales, in terms of statistics for almost every field of sales and marketing, they applied the rule of 10. Now, I'm going to apply this for something that everybody's going to be familiar with in sales terms, because almost everybody here in our age category is going to have done this at some time, which is buying houses. Okay, so if you're trying to buy a house, or to put it the other way around, if you're trying to sell a house, what you need to do is get people to look at houses. And the way you get people to look at houses is you offer the houses to them. Now, for every 10 people that you offer a house to, one of them will go around and look at a house with you. For every 10 people that look around a house, you will get one offer. For every 10 offers, you will get one sold subject to contract board outside the house. And across the country, for every 10 sold subject to contract houses, one will actually sell. Now, do you see how that works with the rule of 10? So in this instance,
1 in 1,000?
Yeah, that's why you've got a lot of estate agents running around showing a lot of people a lot of houses, because people want to look at 25 houses and then they might put an offer on one and then decide they like another house and they pull out and they move to the next house. That's how it works here. In the States, it's slightly different. But I'm just giving you an example. Even if it's wrong, it doesn't matter. My point is just to give you a vague idea of how the rule of 10 works. Well, in terms of what we're doing with these reaction videos, and I'm glad you keep feeding them, by the time we get to 10, which is probably around about now, one of the people might actually watch the video. Which is to say that by the time we get to 100, one of them might actually respond and put my link in their video and have 1 million subscribers exposed to this channel. That's how the numbers stack up. So while we speculate about how that might be the case, that will be the case just by pure statistics eventually. But
hold on. But by that logic, one in 1,000 is going to actually be able to understand what you said, though.
I would go on with a 1 in 100, but yeah.
Well, no, 1 in 100 may give you a response. That doesn't mean it's going to be a rational.
Right. Wow. No, I'd go much further. 1 in 10,000 will understand, or be able to fight their cognitive dissonance, or their affirmation bias. The statistics are way worse in terms of the comprehension level. Why, Nathan? Well, because they're already opposing us. They're already fighting their cognitive dissonance when we respond to them, aren't we?
Well, yeah, okay, I see that.
Right.
But that's just interesting.
So the aim in terms of getting them to respond, you've got to kind of model how you want them to respond in your response to them, so that you hope that when the 1 in 100 does actually make a response video, regardless of whether or not they understand or misrepresent your argument or do all the normal globe things that they typically do, you hope you get a link in it, and then it's all been worthwhile. No, the whole process in and of itself is a way of getting my audience to hopefully go out and encourage it in the first place, which is saying Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. But that audience, for them to be out there with the confidence to go out and do that in their comment section, would mean that we have actually disseminated our information accurately enough to give someone that confidence. Well, that's the overall aim, isn't it? The icing on the cake is if someone actually responds in a 1 million subscriber channel and puts a link to my video and says, this guy made us response, and yeah, he's talking all about how he posts my link, so I'll do the same for him. At that point, I'm like, woohoo! At that point, you don't even care what they're saying, even if it's wrong.
I think that will come only if they have, and this is just my opinion, but if they have confidence in their consensus in terms of their audience. Because I don't think some of these response videos we've made, I don't think that some of them would respond if they don't have a high confidence in their audience. Because I think some of them might think, well, if I respond to this and I allow my audience to hear the flat earthers response to what I've said, what if I start losing people? What if my statements don't make any sense? What if I start losing an audience because I'm getting called out on my lack of scientific validation to experiment or just so stories, right? So I think it'll come with how comfortable they are with with the consensus of their audience.
Sure.
But that's just my
if it was
opinion.
anything other than YouTubers, I'd have to say, oh no, there's going to be a contingent of people that are actually more concerned with their own cognition and what's the word, integrity. But because we're talking about YouTubers, yeah, for the most part, your standard is the only one that applies. Will my audience like me for this? Or not? Will I look bad? Because we're dealing with YouTubers.
I don't know though, man. We're living in a world full of just people that just want likes and followers and subs, and and I get that being in the type of media like YouTube and shit like that, but I think that's almost overcome the confidence of myself and my own arguments. You know what I mean? Coming from them. But I could be wrong. I don't know.
Well, I was hoping like for a response video where they claim that they were muted while they give their claim. That would be awesome for somebody to try to claim that you were muting them.
Right? Like, you have to go on their show to be muted, but okay, good try.
Well,
no, like you were muting the video that we were actively responding to, that like that one would get me tickled.
Oh.
Yeah, that's why I go out of my way, and does QE for that matter. Hey QE, by the way, to go through the entirety of the video, so no one can turn around and say, "Oh, but if you'd have got to the end of the video," I mean, they'll cherry pick a sentence from a video, they'll cut off halfway through a sentence to misrepresent what we're saying, and they'll turn maybe a 10 to 20 minute video about a complex subject into a 8-minute response video with 2 or 3 sentences cherry picked. That's what they'll do. But by comparison, I don't ever want to be claimed to be not adhering to a reasonable standard, ignoring parts of their evidence, cherry picking. I don't want to ever be claimed to be doing that. Now today I'm sick of Becky, mainly because I was a bit disappointed that I lost the intro or the pre-show. But that's my own fault and my own irritation. You're like, well, okay. But typically we don't leave any stone unturned, do we? We get all the way to the end.
Yeah, just because of their knee-jerk response to say that Nathan mutes people, right? I was hoping somebody would give like that as a response to your response video. Is like you didn't allow them to make the claim.
It'll come. Somebody will say it.
Oh yeah, I've done put it in the ether now. It's doomed.
Right. No Bullbusters this weekend? No, sir. Oh, thank you for confirming that, John. Good job, you're here.
No, not this weekend, and most likely not the weekend after either. We'll see.
Hold on a
okay.
sec. Was that Nathan doing an impersonation of John just a second ago?
Yes, it was. Yes.
Yes, yes, it was. It was pretty good, right? I
It
was
was
like, wow,
fucking spot on.
he sounds
I was like,
American right there.
how the hell is John over at Nathan's house? Something's up.
What? I didn't hear it. Do it again.
No, sir.
No, sir. Is that it?
That was it. Yeah, that was what it was.
Thank you. I heard the mooing earlier too, by the way.
I did that intentionally, just for that reason.
It wasn't elongated. It was just a couple seconds.
Yeah, I opened the line just to catch the moo.
Yeah, once or twice. Thanks. Appreciate that.
Well, Tenth didn't notice.
Wait,
I'm sorry I didn't catch all of your little video. You had Becky again, I suppose. I caught that part.
that's Dr. Becky.
No, Becky.
Like, oh my God, Becky.
What's she have to say? Start over.
No, thank you.
She was reading off the
you know
email
what she
that
had to say? She had a lot to say about the crisis in cosmology, in regards to her models and simulations, while talking about some explosion, which she's named, which is just the light in the sky that she saw. So yeah, that all checks out for you. There you go.
Crisis in cosmology.
Yeah, she kept saying something about a crisis.
Huh.
And I'm like, well, you were just talking about models and simulations. Maybe you guys are giving yourself your own crisis.
The summary is, we had a model and it said that this explosion, were it to happen, would be donut-shaped. Then we saw an explosion and it was perfectly spherical. That's her claim. And therefore, the model prediction previously was incorrect. So the scientists got in a huddle, and to solve the problem of why it didn't work in the way that the original model predicted, they decided to add a second energy source to what they claim was happening in their Just So story to explain how it was now spherical. That's the summary.
So models predict, eh?
Yes, based on the predictions of the models, that's correct. No, they don't.
Yep.
That's what she said, though, yes.
Yeah, model.
No,
I'd like to first have her define a model. Then I like her to define a scientific model and try to explain to her what you probably already did, that predictions in science are hypotheses. Now, to validate that prediction, to see if it's true or not, you run a hypothesis test called an experiment. This is a very simple concept that most of the learned on the earth fail to recognize. That's quite shocking.
Becky's not learned, though. You know, she's just not. She seems to be a email parroter.
but isn't she piled higher and deeper? Does she have a PhD?
Probably. I don't know. Anybody know what Becky's qualifications are? Could look her
Yeah,
up.
she's an idiot. She says science has feelings.
Oh, poor baby.
That's all right. Nathan blew her a kiss at the end of the episode.
Really?
Is it Dr. Becky or not Dr. Becky?
Well, there you go. She's called Dr. Becky, and I'm going to assume it's not like Professor Dave, where she's just lying about it. I don't think she'd be in any sort of position, even that she's claiming to be in, if she was just lying. So I'm going to say no. She's a doctor then. What a doctorate is in, I don't know.
This is Becky Smethurst. Becky Smethurst is a British astrophysicist, author, and YouTuber who is a junior research fellow at the University of Oxford.
But she's
I'll read from her description on YouTube. Your friendly neighborhood astrophysicist, I'm Dr. Becky Smethurst, an astrophysicist at the University of Oxford. I love making videos about science with an unnatural level of enthusiasm. I like to focus on how we know things, not just what we know, and especially the things we still don't know. If you've ever wondered about something in space and couldn't find an answer online, you can ask me. I can't even read the rest of this crap.
Well, if you know what, I have a description in mine. It's if you ever wanted to know about anything happening in Narnia and the physics of Narnia, just ask me.
Hold on. Let me continue because it gets good. I have also written a few books. My latest, quote, A Brief History of Black Holes, quote, is available in hardback, ebook, and audio. My day job is to do research into how supermassive black holes can affect the galaxies that they live in. In particular, I look at whether the energy output from the disk of material orbiting around a growing supermassive black hole can stop a galaxy from forming stars.
She couldn't even
Well,
come up
there
with
you
her
go.
own book title. She stole it from Stephen Hawking.
Yeah.
No, she parodied it from Stephen Hawking's, but his is a little bit different.
Okay, my bad. Parodied it.
Based on.
Yeah,
Well,
but
they say
I just realized. Hold on, I just realized something. They're getting paid to talk about pseudoscience, science fiction. Unreal.
Well, you put it behind the paywall. That's how you protect the bullshit.
No, listen to what she just said. What Chocolate just read. GPS, gotta freaking talk now. Shut up, GPS. I know where I'm going. Listen to what
Don't yell at
Chocolate
the
was
balloon
just
like that.
reading. Listen, was just reading. A brief history of black holes. It should be real brief. I don't know. End of book. They don't exist. End of book.
I don't know. End up. That's pretty good, Neil. That tickled the shit out of me.
What if black holes are just God trolling people?
why would God troll people? And what are black holes? Is
There are
that?
no black holes.
Is he trolling people by putting something black in a place that's black?
Yes.
Oh no, man, it's legit. So when you create a heliocentric cosmology and you have a causal mechanism that is reliant on ever-present inflation of space and time and all of this baloney, and you try to mediate that with universal uniformitarian assumptions of forces, right? And you come upon something that, according to your predispositions, you'd qualify as a black hole, and you start to apply those forces to it, right? And you're a materialist or something along those lines. You get to the point where you realize that nothing you previously believed would work in a universe that has black holes in it, unless black holes can do one particular thing. And that one particular thing is maintain information. So the precedence for the coherence of your worldview is that information must be maintained, which means information exists a priori to your worldview existing.
Overall
Proving-
debunking of the worldview in the first instance to retain
Exactly.
information
Correct.
or even acknowledge it. I love it. That was brilliant.
Well, hold
Right.
on.
So when
That's
you
something.
search
AI.
into a black hole, yeah, let me finish. When you search into a black hole, right, as a materialist or an atheist or any of these types of things, and you get to the end and you pull the blackness away, God's right there saying, "Gotcha, bitch."
No, I got you now. That's great. That was very clever.
Hold on. In the
Well, they call that a-
movie Interstellar, the Matt Damon character says that he couldn't reconcile relativity with quantum mechanics. They needed more. And that information they needed was in the black hole. They had to get in the black hole. So, wow.
Yeah, right. Russian Vid says
Well-
truth in movies and fiction on the news or something like that.
All you have to do is call it a paradox, and then you just accept it as being true and not true at the same time and move on.
Well,
Or
look, it's
put
very
the
relevant to
term
other
impossible in
people
front of it.
that
Hold on. Go ahead,
yeah,
AI.
it's very relevant to other worldviews. So you have what's explained. What I just said, they have to explain a black hole as a two-dimensional plane of information, right? That's part of it. And then somehow that gives rise to the three-dimensional appearance of a black hole in free space. So what they're saying is that one dimension of information is giving rise to three-dimensional concretedness in free space. So they're saying that a lower dimension is giving rise to a higher, right? In other words, interdimensional connectivity or causation.
Yeah,
So they're
parallel
conceding
universes as
interdimensional
well.
causation.
Yeah, then
Yeah, well, you could go that way, you know. But I mean more in
Regardless,
regards
Interstellar
to
was a great
like
movie.
how the dimensions actually inform each other and actually affect each other, specifically in regards to the idea, like we just said, of information, a creator, a god, but also the mechanism and how he creates the world and how it functions, and the claims that people make on each intermediary step. Like, for example, the supernatural world, how it affects the natural world, and claims about mechanisms in between those two. Like, for example, certain people's interpretations of ether as a mechanism of transposing the supernatural into the material, and other such ideas.
Yeah, their stories ending in paradoxes left and right at the moment. Exposed by us, which is nice.
Well, a contradiction always exists in something false anyway, right?
Yeah. And the opposite is true, which is to say the truth is obvious and all around you if it's the truth. So in terms of us constantly finding new ways of showing how Earth is obviously observably, measurably and used flat, that shouldn't be a shock. It's like, no. For those of you that were apprehensive about accepting this as the reality that you're in, like, know it, and then when you find it, you won't be so surprised. Yeah, there's new stuff all the time. That's I knew that the day I found the subject. It's an evergreen subject. The world is flat and it's still functioning. That means that the utilisation of the reality that we're faced with has to be incorporated into the whys and wherefores of how the Earth functions, how we function on it. And yeah, that's absolutely true. So every time we look into it, every time someone like 10th Man most recently comes up and says, check out how celestial navigation works, using a flat Earth. What do? You cast your mind back to 2015, 2016, and people like the Rumpus going, sextants prove the Earth's a sphere. You go, I wonder why they would be so bold as to declare that sextants prove the Earth's a sphere. Same reason they assert that we have boats falling over the edges of pizza pies, because they've got a weak-ass part of their argument where boats fall over the edge of Earth curve that they haven't got. And sextants are used on a flat Earth, so why not declare that they prove a sphere?
That sounds tactical.
Yeah.
Hey, Rumpus said that at one time?
He said it many, many times.
That was common rhetoric at the Feast of Nonsense for Glovers. The dip angle correction proved a sphere.
Yep. Then he'd reference Al-Biruni. That's absolutely correct. Do you know what a dip angle is, stupid flat earther? Well, that's how we know it's a sphere. We measured it such. There you go. That was their rhetoric from 2016. Not anymore.
So that's what they did. They throw out stuff that prove Earth is flat and throw it out as if it's proven a sphere, but
Yeah.
it's not.
That's right.
Wow.
Yeah.
I gotta agree with Chocolate there. That's tactical. That was tactical.
Yeah.
Or really, really stupid. Or just like the pinnacle of stupidity.
What is?
Using a flat Earth to prove it's a sphere.
No, but what do they say? If you hide something in plain sight, right? If you don't hide your money, just put it somewhere where they will never look in plain sight, though.
Are you saying that they knew it was flat, but they were just...
Someone else trying to get a word in.
Roboting.
Who was that? They're going to
Somebody in Discord.
Someone want to add something from Discord? No, just a bit of audio chaos just to throw us all off. Yeah, John.
Me or John?
You. I thought you were in the middle of saying something.
Oh,
I got his question. I got your question, but no, I don't think they were doing it because they knew Earth was flat. I think they were uncertain, you know? So they just throw it out there. This proves
that's
it's
another.
real.
Uncertain would be another word for ignorant in this context, wouldn't it?
Well,
Yeah.
they were pretty certain they had a geometric horizon, and so we said, well, if the Earth is a sphere with a radius of 3959 miles, then every horizon distance measurement could be no more than 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. But after we put that to them, all of a sudden they weren't so sure they had a geometric horizon. As a matter of fact, they never saw the geometric horizon. You wouldn't even expect to see the geometric horizon. So were they sure or were they not?
They were never sure. They were stupid. I was stupid when I asserted it, or ignorant, whatever you want to call it. But I used to think that.
Yeah, that gave birth to the apparent horizon.
No, that one was just a step too far for me.
Or the bat signal horizon.
If you've got a decent...
I had to draw a line somewhere.
Well, exactly, at the point that it becomes farcical. If you know what geometry is and what measuring things is, and someone says, no, I've got an apparent horizon. As you've told us many times, you're like, well, then you can't measure it. But that was what you were clinging on to, the fact that you could measure it. Well, the moment you find out you can't, you don't go, yeah, but if I accept that the apparent horizon, that's redundant, because it's the apparent position where the sky meets the ground or sea. Well, that apparent position is derived from the geometric position. You're like, well, that means you've got to start lying to yourself cognitively. Well, that's the birth of an anti-flat earther, John, but you chose the other route, right?
Yeah, John could have started saying, well, the apparent horizon, the geometric horizon is the necessary antecedent to the apparent horizon.
Had I known about the short distance high energy solution of saying it's just a short distance high energy problem, I may have never come to flat Earth.
No, because if you'd have confronted me with that, it took me 2-3 days to think of a decent rebuttal. But once you point out that your vast distances that apparently do work are based on a short distance measurement, then your long distance solution becomes just as big a problem as your short distance high energy problem. Your long distances are based on R, and R is acquired at a short distance.
Well, up until the moment you give that rebuttal, I can just hand wave it.
Fair enough. If you want to do that to yourself cognitively, though, well, you would concede that by doing so, you're doing mental gymnastics to satisfy your own desire to affirm your bias of a globe at that point. Well, you said that's a step too far with an example of an apparent geometric, non-geometric antecedent horizon. Well, would it not be the same if you did this? A step too far, I mean?
Yeah, probably. I can't really say what I would have thought at that time with that stupid comeback either, because of the comeback's stupid, really.
Even without the comeback, with you just rationalising it in that way, you're doing mental gymnastics to explain away a problem that you thought was covered by a measurement.
Well, I was doing mental gymnastics originally to think that I was measuring a differential between eye level and sea level, and coming up with a sphere, you know? So
Fair enough.
I don't know.
No, my standard doesn't apply because up until that point you were doing the same gymnastics anyway, is what you're saying. No, okay, fair enough.
Yeah, I don't know what clicked. I don't know why that was my line that I just wouldn't cross, but maybe it's because I'd repeated it so much I understood what was actually being claimed. I, I don't know why it was, but it was.
In other words, if you're doggedly assured that you're measuring something physical, and then you've repeated it over and over again, and you stood by it, and it served you well, and then someone takes it away, that's enough for you to go, well, what have I got then? I know I needed that, and I haven't got it anymore. So it's either let's do another step of mental gymnastics to overcome this problem of me not having the thing I asserted is physically measurable, because it isn't anymore. It's just like, well, it isn't anymore. What's not? Well, not measurable. But that's a pretty good foundation. If you think it's measurable, then you're going to assert that the differential between the two planes gives you the drop below surface level as you understand it now, therefore Earth curve. Until you can't measure it anymore.
Yeah, I mean, like there's mental gymnastics even in that, you know, like to say that a dip angle proves that Earth's a sphere is, you know, there's gymnastics involved in that. It's
Yeah, there's an orthographic mentality in the mathematics that you've got to adhere to, which in turn, to understand, requires the mental gymnastics to put yourself in that position looking orthographically in the maths, that is. Yeah, there is. I can't really. I take it back. You know, there's before you get to either what I thought was a crossroads. There's a good chance that your average Joe, not saying your average Joe, but you know what I mean. Any other person is going to do a certain degree of mental gymnastics if they're covering this subject, and at what level they do the gymnastics, and at what point they relinquish them because it's a step too far is different for everyone.
yeah,
I mean, when
it
you're
seems like
when in one breath you're saying we do have a geometric horizon, and in the next breath we don't have a geometric horizon. I mean, you're the Spider-Man of mental gymnastics.
It's rumpus for anyone who doesn't realise. Yeah, you need to have and have not got a simultaneous geometric and non-geometric horizon in existence. Two horizons. One that gives you the geometry and one that's the one that's visible. So when you ask Rumpus, is the horizon geometric? No, we don't see the geometric horizon. Okay, well, in your geometry, you've got a geometric horizon. Well, that's because we do see the geometric horizon. So we do have a geometric horizon. No, we don't have a geometric horizon. But it's here. Well, we do.
We do.
Anybody want to reminisce?
Do you remember the concession we got at the end of that? Anybody remember the actual statement he made at the end of that? I do. Quote.
That's when he lied.
No. That's when he made the most honest statement he's ever made. The Rumpus, quote.
it only exists in the maths.
You got it. The geometric horizon only exists in the maths. End quote.
I remember
After that, it was welcome to Flat Earth, Rumpus.
That was right. Welcome to Flat Earth was the reply you got. So Earth curve only exists in the maths then? Yeah, you're damn right it does. Below surface level.
I guess I'll pull that up for everybody since we're not being bombarded with a plethora of globe proofsies.
There's a whole load of new names though in Discord. There's a whole bunch of people I've not seen in there before.
Hello, can you put this discussion?
Oh, I have to turn you up, Polybius or whatever you're called. Can you speak a bit louder?
Yeah, sorry. Could you put the link to this brilliant quote into the Discord chat?
We're going to play it in a second. You can hear it.
Oh, yeah. But I would also like to keep it.
Yeah, I'm sure someone will paste it into the Discord link now you've asked.
I think he's probably had some interaction with the Rumpus. He's wanting to learn.
Sounds like it. Is that the case?
Who, me? No, I have no idea, but it seems like a funny bit.
You know,
Yeah,
like
to
I talked
hear
to
somebody say that there's a geometric horizon and then 2 seconds later to say that there isn't. Yeah, that is a funny bit. It's one of the best moments of flat Earth debate, to be honest.
you know, I talked to Rumpus one-on-one in Discord before, and he seemed like such a nice guy until he gets into this subject. You know, it's like something happens to him, like Agent Smith pops out, like Chocolate says sometimes.
They will
It's
fight.
like,
They will fight for it. That's right.
Show us on the globe where they touched you, Rumpus. Just point at the area.
You know, this makes perfect sense.
Can you make yourself any louder?
I don't know what's wrong with this mic.
Just a bit quiet.
It's in Master D when you're ready.
Okay. Okay, everyone pop yourselves on mute.
No one claims the geometric horizon is where the apparent horizon is when...
Sorry, we've only got one horizon. We don't have two horizons. We don't have an apparent horizon and a geometric horizon. We just have a horizon. It's just not geometric!
Correct.
So we don't have a geometric horizon on a sphere, Rumpus? And, by the way, the geometric horizon is apparent!
Mute, 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 mute.
Yeah, well then, welcome to Flat Earth. Your model of a sphere Earth requires a geometric horizon to obscure things in the distance, for boats to go over, and to bend at altitude. If you are now disclaiming that we do not have a geometric horizon, then we don't have Earth curve geometry.
I told you 2.5 years ago how this worked, and you didn't remember.
You've just made it plain we don't have a geometric horizon. So what geometric position, moron? You don't have one!
We do.
Oh, so now we do. Only 30 seconds ago, ladies and gentlemen, he made it plain we don't have a geometric horizon, and now we do.
No, we don't have a geometric horizon.
The fact that this flip-flopping retard Rumpus has gone from it being geometric as a necessity, as per your model, to us not having a geometric horizon, and we never have, to now it being geometric again. If you can't recognise his flip-flopping and orthodox, it's because you're as retarded as him.
So we don't have a geometric horizon, then we do, and now we don't have a geometric horizon, right? When are you running for office of retardia?
It's a function of geometry.
No, it's not, because we don't have a geometric horizon. So the horizon is absolutely not a function of geometry. It's not geometric. We've debunked that with this image called the Black Swan, where we demonstrate that if it was physical and geometric, it would be in an impossible location based on the parameters of your own geometry. So we definitely don't have a geometric horizon.
I didn't say we did. We do.
Oh, so now we do. Only 30 seconds ago, ladies and gentlemen, he made it plain we don't have a geometric horizon, and now we do. We don't. Welcome to Flat Earth.
Do you realize how many times you've destroyed your own argument today?
So what geometric position, moron? You don't have one!
We do.
Oh, so now we do.
Correct, we don't have a geometric horizon.
So what geometric position, moron? You don't have one!
We do.
Oh, so now we do.
Correct, we don't have a geometric horizon.
Classic. Ah, good times.
Yeah.
my heart goes out to him. That couldn't have been easy to vocalize.
It's getting him there. The guy's not exactly a newcomer when it comes to debate and obfuscation. So you've got to lead him to make his own admissions when it comes to what he has and hasn't got. Well, in a certain set of circumstances, you can get him to concede that he requires, because it's a necessity for his model, a geometric horizon. Well, therefore, we've got a geometric horizon. Well, we haven't. He's responding to the Black Swan, so you put that to him, and no, we haven't got a geometric horizon, it's refracted. So we haven't got a geometric horizon. Well, it's a function of the geometry. Oh, so we do have a geometric horizon. Well, no, we can't see a geometric horizon, so we don't have a geometric horizon. Oh, we do. And so it goes on.
Yeah, the mental gymnastics though to try to keep that intact, that can't be easy. That's
Try summarizing it.
It's like
yeah,
playing
it's hard
ping
enough
pong
to
with
summarize.
yourself. It's like playing ping pong. It's like, no, it's okay to have oppositional arguments, positions, as long as you just don't mix them. You just switch whenever it's convenient. I used to do that a lot. We just kind of forgot about it because there's not that many anti-flat earthers that actually get on here anymore. But that happened all the time, remember?
Yeah, it's the same guy that would tell his audience members and cohorts that they should be appealing to the scientists to not describe gravity as being a non-force. That's the kind of shit we're dealing with. It's just unreasonable. That's how our opponents behave in a consensus reality. They feel that's reasonable.
Nathan, then which was the one where you caught him lying? Was it in the same one, or was it a different scenario altogether?
It's the same scenario. So I cornered him. It was probably on the same show. So because of his claiming that we hadn't got a geometric horizon, I pointed out that in the Isle of Man debate, he was claiming physical geometry obscured the Isle of Man. Then he said, "No, I did not." Go on.
I know it's refracted with its respect to the horizon.
Exactly. So in his original claim, he's got the claim. Just to clarify, in the original claim, he's got the target refracted with respect to the horizon. That means the horizon's the geometric limitation tangent point in the maths, and the 7/6 of the radius value, extending the plane in his mathematics, is ascribed to the target. How do you know that it's refracted? You know it's refracted because of its position.
I never said that the gas was going down like a balls. I never said that it was going like a boom boom. Like a boom.
What the hell?
That was QE.
Oh, could you hear that?
Yeah.
You
Thanks
hear
so
that
much.
again?
Like a boom boom? What the hell?
Yeah,
Play
let's
that
do it
again,
again.
man.
I never said that the gas was going down like a balls. I never said that it was going like a boom boom. Like a boom boom. Like a boom boom. Like a boom boom.
What the hell? Who was that?
I forgot who that guy was. I remember it though.
Shout out to Thunderfoot Clown.
Like
You remember
boom,
this one?
boom.
What? You remember this one?
Only when there's gravity.
Sorry, only when there's gravity. So you're just going to beg the question of this non-force? Sorry, why on earth would you beg the question of this gravity when, number one, mass does not attract mass? That is 106 years out of date. And the current rhetoric of gravity, Einsteinian bending pseudo-force space, isn't a force.
If I put an aircraft in a ballistic trajectory...
Who gives a shit? We're talking about gas. I'm still yet to get an answer where you get the pressure. You said gas will press on me. I'm on the ground. Gas pressure. Where'd you get the gas pressure from?
Gravity.
No, gravity's not a force. Gravity is things going down. Gas does not do that. It's about the 8th time I've told you.
Gas does do that.
Oh, gas go down, go boom, boom. Like bouncy balls. So which gas is produced in the sky?
Which gas is produced in the sky?
Yeah, to go down.
I have no idea how...
None of them, you fucking clown.
Say that again? I didn't hear you.
None of them are produced in the sky and coming down like fucking rain. Gas isn't produced in the sky. It's produced at ground level and makes its way up. Up, not down. It's coming out of the fucking ground and going up. It's not coming down like rain. It's not produced in the fucking clouds. Gas is going up from ground level, not down. Understand that it's coming out of the ground and going in all directions away from the ground where it was produced.
Agreed.
Right, so it isn't going down then, you fucking idiot. We haven't got pools of helium.
We have pools of helium at the...
No, we fucking don't.
Yes, we do.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Where do we find these pools puddles of helium. Show me a picture of one.
Spread evenly over the, well, it's invisible, so it's a bit hard to take.
Sorry, invisible pools of helium.
We have pools of helium.
Are you high right now?
Well, it's invisible.
Hold on, I see how Huey's got tactics. I see how he got his language in there. Just pull up some of Nathan's old recordings. Good one.
Beyond it is another dimension. You're moving into a land of
bullshittery.
You've just crossed over into
the numpty zone.
You are so dumb. Damn.
Yeah, invisible pools of helium. That's one of my favorites.
My favorite is always going to be Thunderfoot Clown, literally showing it, giving a visual representation of his description of gas go down, go boom, boom, pouring it into a fish tank and saying gravity, and boom, the gas goes down, and then literally showing bouncy balls poured into a fish tank. You can't get any more clear and concise in terms of what he's saying. The gas falls from the sky, analogous to bouncy balls poured into a fish tank. That's epic. The guy's a PhD. You know, that guy, that clown that you just played, who's he? Nobody. PhD clown Thunderfoot, on the other hand, literally showed it with bouncy balls. You can't get much better than that.
Well, you can. Hold on. No, one step better is Brenda said that space-time is the hole in the donut, and that's how Dr. Becky described it earlier.
Yeah, but Brenda's a nobody, and she's repeating a clown. Like a talking head. But Clown Show Thunderfoot's actually a PhD. Anyway, yeah, I'm not comparing standards. It's all farcical, you're right. I shouldn't be disagreeing. I should just be laughing.
Yeah,
but
Brenda's
the nobody, right?
Maybe
no, Brenda's the nobody.
Maybe
Brenda's the nobody, and the
yeah.
Hold on, Owen.
Sorry.
I was just saying Brenda's the nobody, and then you have this PhD repeating that nonsense.
It's the other way around. She's got it from current rhetoric. That's how their maths and models describe it. And Brenda's got a misapprehension of it and a poorly executed elocution of it, a verbalization of it. But that was the notion that she was trying to disseminate, that Becky's had disseminated to her via email and parroted it off also, as opposed to Becky parroting it off from Brenda.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you got me there.
I'm sorry. Did you say elocution?
Yeah. Well, and that was the wrong word. I meant to say verbalization.
Is that even a friggin' word?
Elocution?
Yeah.
Elocution is a word.
Is it? I never heard it before. I never heard anyone say that. I mean, I know what the meaning would be, but I never heard it stated like that. Huh. Interesting. I got another one.
Audio.
I got another one.
I was just gonna say I got one too. The donut audio is in Master D.
Oh, the donut audio.
No, I was actually right with the word first time. So when I said I meant verbalization, no, elocution is the right word. Noun, the skill of clear and expressive speech, especially of distinct pronunciation and articulation. So no, elocution was the right word.
Yeah, that wasn't the point. I never heard anyone state the word before.
You never heard the word elocution before?
No.
Oh, okay.
Subscribe to Flat Earth Debate today, and you learn new words every day.
Thanks, Neil.
So I take it you've never had elocution lessons then?
I may have had lessons, but they didn't say it.
No, there are actually elocution lessons.
Yeah, being eloquent. I get the idea. I'm just saying I never heard the word stated before.
Okay, fair enough.
I didn't say it didn't exist.
Okay, fair enough.
I never heard it.
I must admit, I second guessed my use of it correctly and even used a different word.
It wasn't the use of it that I had a problem with. It was the actual word.
Sure. But it's not a common
Yeah,
word,
we
is
got
it?
it.
It's not something you'd often use in a sentence.
I'm going to start using that in a sentence. Okay, you going to do the Brenda Donuts, or are we going to go on one, just a crazy one that I don't know what it's about?
I'll do the Brenda Donuts.
You know the hole in a donut? That's space-time.
You're a moron.
No, that's true.
You're a
The
moron.
hole
Shut
in a
up.
donut
Shut up. Don't
is
say anything
space-time.
else. Don't make me remove you. Shut up. You've got nothing
The
more to add. You're a
hole
moron.
in the donut,
I couldn't
Brenda.
care less.
Wow.
You're a moron. Don't
The
add
hole
anything
in
more.
the hole in a donut.
Shut
the
up.
Hole
I don't
is
want to
Swiss
have to
cheese.
eject you. If
Space-time.
you want to continue spouting shite about holes in donuts, I'm going to kick you out. Last chance. Shut up. Any evidence?
No, I thought you were about debate. I thought you were about
You
fair
can fuck off
debate.
right now. You can fuck off. I was asking a new question. Now you don't get to take part. That's your problem. Stupid donut idiot. Donut hole is space-time. What a complete moron.
Stupid donut idiot. I like that one.
What a difference in sound. Wow.
Yeah, it was a bit rough around the edges back then. Say again, John? One more time? Or maybe not.
Maybe not.
Actually, what was
Robot John.
You got robot problems.
Brian's here, so everything's going to be kept nice and concise. Hey, Brian.
Brian, I don't agree with that, Brian.
What are you, stupid?
Let's try another one. Ready? Since you guys can hear this, I don't know. Let's just do it.
Your line to the horizon's bent, Jose. Yes, Nathan, that's right, amigo. Isabel line.
That's it.
Oh, thank you so much for showing how incredibly racist I am. How wonderful.
Well, being that you're a 14% black woman, I mean, that should be acceptable.
Yeah, but if you have to explain your Spanish roots to people, then, you know.
I was going more on how different your sound is. Wow. Good job on it.
Yeah, support my GoFundMe campaign so I can maintain the high standards of sound, because everyone's fussed about that.
Hey, we have actually
I'm
got
fussed about it. Who cares what anyone else
in at
wants?
number 3. Should we do
I
the
like
music?
it to sound good.
Dun, 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 dun. And here we are with Top of the Fuckwit Pops for an answer to how can you have gas pressure without a container. In at number 3, it's the rumpus with the second law of thermodynamics does not apply to the Earth. Dun, 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 dun. And down 1 at number 2, it's the redneck retard with a demonstration of gas pressure, quote, without a container, by way of 2 containers. Dun, 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 dun. And top of the pops, fuckwit number 1, it's Thunderfoot Clown by changing gas into a solid with bonded bouncy balls. Dun 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 dun.
What do they win? Classic.
That was
Where have you
great.
got all these from?
Just random ones. I got them saved and I haven't listened to them. I got another
This
one.
is great. Good,
I
this is
can't
good Friday fun. I don't have to do anything. I'm just chuckling here. It's great.
Yeah, I can't remember this one. Let's see what it is.
You have a point in coming here, Tom? What was your point?
His point was that I
you trying to
didn't have
prove
an argument
something?
with the black swan chocolate because it didn't have science, and my understanding of science was incorrect.
And as I was trying to
So
say, when
you
I brought
thought
up
the black swan was science.
Yeah.
Hey, guy, you thought the black swan was science. Did somebody
Excuse
tell you
me,
that, or you just assumed that?
what I was going to
said the
say is
black
when I
swan was
brought up Black
science?
Swan, when I brought up Black Swan, I kept saying not the photo, not the photo. What I was trying to talk about was that phenomenon
The logical
where I think in
consistency?
Europe, everybody, excuse me?
Carry on.
What I was saying was there was that phenomenon, I think it was in Western Europe, where all of the swans were white, and so they just thought swans were white. And then eventually they found out that wasn't true, right? Because I think somewhere else in the world there was a black swan or something to that effect, right? It's a fun historical fact.
Uh-huh.
And it's Karl Popper. Yeah, we know the Karl Popper analogy. Yes, thank you.
And so that was my example of why science is tentative, right? Now,
That's not fucking science. You are so retarded. That's not science, you stupid moron.
And to answer the fellow's
Sorry, you stupid clown.
To ask me why I came on the show.
You are a clown. Stop talking. That is not science. Science is very tentative. After giving a logical consistency argument from Karl Popper, that's not science. You stupid idiot.
So imagine we had a case where someone was accused of murder. And so if O.J. Simpson...
So no one gives a shit about O.J. Stop talking about O.J. Nobody cares.
That happened. In reality,
nobody cares.
Right?
Are you being serious, man?
Are you being serious? Nobody cares about this.
Tom, you got that just pumped the neighbor's cat look on your face yet, like I told you to have last night.
Yes. Quantum Eraser said I would have a certain look on my face.
Just pumped the neighbor's cat look on your face. Did you reach that point yet? Sounds like you have.
So my inquiry was how he knows.
So your inquiry is horse shit. Your definition of a hypothesis was incorrect. It's not a falsifiable explanation. Let's go through this. A hypothesis isn't a falsifiable explanation, you clown. It's not an explanation at all. It's a predictional supposition in the natural cause and effect relationships. Also, your appeal to induction. Science has nothing to do with induction. Karl Popper said it doesn't have nothing to do with induction, and his friggin' trophy proof was the black swan. All swans are white. You clown fuck. So, your little Google search science acumen not gonna fly here, son. Pretender clown space monkey. What's a hypothesis? Yeah, you better run.
What's a hypothesis? A falsifiable explanation for a set of phenomena.
No, it's not. It's a predictional supposition in the natural cause and effect relationships. What are the two parts of a hypothesis?
What is the look somebody has on their face when they pump the neighbor's cat?
When we look at you right now.
The kind of look that somebody who doesn't know what the fuck to do would start babbling on about O.J. Simpson when they're asked about what science is.
That's it.
Love it. Yeah, these are good.
Wow, I don't even remember that one.
It's no surprise.
I do have
Is it any surprise listening to these back that none of these guys ever want to return here? Yeah? The people who frequent the circuit, if you're like, oh, well, I hear these people. I hear Reds and Rumpus and Blue Marble and whoever. Why don't they come to the biggest flat earth debate platform there is? Well, that's because they've been here before and they've all had their asses handed to them in the most embarrassing ways possible. All of them have, without exception. You name one. The only ones that are exceptions to that are the new kids on the block. That's the Simon Dans and the Dave McKeegans. No, they'll never come here, right? Because they've got no need to. They've already jumped on the bandwagon of anti-flat earth in terms of the popularity being leached from flat earth searches. So they've got no need to. But all the clowns that are died in the woods, anti-flat earth has been here forever. They've all been and gone through the mill before this channel was the size it was. Small though it is, but when it was considerably smaller. And they've all had their asses handed to them. So we've got QE, who's obviously a good collator of this information and has kept it on little sound bites, which is wonderful. But that's the reminder for anybody who's like, well, why don't they come in and just hand you your ass? Oh, it's because of the mute, but no, it isn't. No, it's because they come in and they tell us that Karl Popper's science. Or they tell us that we've got a geometric horizon and then we do, we don't. That's why they don't come here.
Yeah, but you'll find, if anybody's interested, you'll find them all stroking each other's backs on Gem Pandas and claiming that they're boycotting this channel, which is not the case.
Yeah, that's a really great way of looking at it. We'll boycott the channel that's exposing the most flat earthers to the truth of the subject matter, and we'll hang around in some little dark corner on Gem Panda's channel where anybody who comes in that has any contrary opinion will be shouted down and muted within seconds. But it's Nathan and his mute button. Yeah, whatever. Boycott away.
I got some more on Rumpy specifically. You want to hear these?
Yeah.
How is the
Yeah, they were my favorite.
Into that vacuum? If the sky was a vacuum, the gas would fill the space.
No, it wouldn't. Gravity.
No. You see,
gravity as a force was superseded over 100 years ago by bending of conceptual pseudo-Riemannian force space, length, breadth, depth, and time. Well, concepts, mathematical constructs, won't give rise to any forces, no matter how much you think about them. I know you're being directed by people like George Musa to think about them as though they're forces, but thinking about maths doesn't give rise to a force. And the gases, which are all produced at ground level, they go up. They're not mostly going down, go boom, boom. So if the sky was a vacuum, the gas would fill the space. So unfortunately, the place that these claim to be heating up or not is irrelevant, because the place they're claiming this tin can in the sky is a second law of thermodynamics violation. Outer space is fake. If the sky was a vacuum, natural law, the second law of thermodynamics, the entropy law, they're one and the same thing, Rumpus, dictates that the gas would fill the space. So the sky is definitely not a vacuum.
On the scale, the force you experience on the scales in your bathroom is also the force that's subjected to the atmosphere. And
no, that would be a force of something with mass that's not randomly and freely traveling in all directions. When I put something on my scale, it only travels down, whereas gas expands in all directions. And most of the gas cycles, they're all being produced at ground level and working their way up. They're definitely not down towards your scale. Puddles evaporate and work their way up, not down, go boom, boom with gravity. That's nonsense. Completely the opposite in terms of the gas cycles, starting at ground level, working their way up. How do you think you get gas at the top of Everest? It's not working its way up. There's not much vegetation and water evaporating up there. Obviously, there's still gas there, though, because it's worked its way up, not down, not with any force, not with gravity, certainly not with the bending of pseudo-Riemannian force space. So, yeah, the gas would fill the space if the sky was a vacuum. Space is fake, Rumpus.
gas molecules are moving at about 5,000 miles an hour in the atmosphere.
Yeah, they're in all directions, up, including up. So at 5,000 miles an hour, I pretty much expect them to hurtle on past these spaceships. If the spaceships can go into this area, then the gas at 5,000 miles an hour is definitely going to be able to go into it, isn't it? Nothing to bounce off. The Kármán line isn't a barrier. So if they're going at 5,000 miles an hour, they're going to go into that sky vacuum pretty rapidly, aren't they? And we'd be at 10 to the minus 17 torr at sea level.
Up at 5,000 miles an hour, get up to the upper reaches of the atmosphere.
What, and you think it just stops? No, it'd keep going into space. It would fill that space, the sky vacuum, that is. Now, with all due respect, Rumpus, I've got a show starting
It
now. I
would
want to plug
flow
it for my
down
audience.
just like a ball would. It would get up to the top of the atmosphere and then fall down just like the
Fall
atmosphere.
down? Gas suddenly changes direction and falls down when it's going 5,000 miles an hour. No, gas doesn't stop. It doesn't take off its bra and burn it in rebellion of gas law. If it's traveling at 5,000 miles an hour, it's just going to continue. It doesn't fall down, go boom, boom, because you've got this idea of a 100-year out-of-date force pulling it back again. If it's traveling at 5,000 miles an hour, what the hell's going to make it go down, go boom, boom? Well, nothing. In fact, if it reaches the thermosphere, if that's claimed to be true, it's going to be given a massive amount of energy to speed up. Isn't it, Rumpus? It's not going to slow down, go boom, boom, back to Earth. It's going to heat up and then go even faster.
If you fall up at 5,000 miles an hour, it would eventually come down.
What? If it's going at 5,000 miles an hour, eventually it's going to, what, go the opposite direction? That makes absolutely no sense whatsoever.
Just like a molecule, if you threw that up at 5,000 miles an hour.
No, if you throw a molecule, hold on, you don't throw molecules up in the air like balls. It sounds like you think gas behavior is like bouncy ball behavior. What goes up must come down. Like if you throw a bouncy ball up in the air, it'll have to come back down. Gas doesn't behave like that. It has to hit something to come back down again. If it's traveling at 5,000 miles an hour and hits the thermosphere, it's just going to go even faster until it hits something. That's what creates pressure, it pressing on something. And if there isn't anything to press on, it's just going to fill the available volume. It's just going to fill the space. We wouldn't have any gas to breathe if the sky was a vacuum, because it would all sod off at thousands of miles an hour, and there's nothing for it to hit and come back again. So it would fill the space if the sky was a vacuum. It's not. Space is fake. Hence, we don't need to argue about what the ISS is doing and whether or not it's heating up. It's claimed to be in a fake place because we wouldn't have any gas if that place was real. If this tin can make it up there, the gas going at 5,000 miles an hour can damn well get there too. And it would keep going because there's nothing to bounce off. Kármán line's not a barrier.
A ball doesn't need to bounce if anything to come back, Nathan.
We're not talking about balls. You equivocate between balls, which are solids, and gas, which aren't solid.
They don't come back down. It's not solid. Gas behavior isn't the same as solid behavior. It's not a ball. Molecules of gas are not bouncy balls, you moron. Are you stupid? Do you think that gas behaves the same way as a ball?
Exactly, that's right.
No, it doesn't exactly behave. It behaves totally different. Balls and gases don't behave the same. Not exactly, completely different. No, you're stupid. You don't understand the difference between gas behavior and solid behavior. A ball's solid, and we're talking about gas, so I'm done with him. That's the end of the conversation. He's a moron. He thinks the gas goes up and then comes back down again. No, that's definitely not how gas behaves. It expands to fill the available volume that it has to fill. And if space is a volume that's available for the gas to fill, it will fill it. Now, that just means that we don't have a sky vacuum. Space is fake. Because if it was real, the gas would expand in all directions at high velocity to fill the volume available to it. And space is an available volume in your nonsense world of sphere. So no, space is just fake. Be sure to tune into Nathan Oakley channel for Flat Earth Debate Uncut and After Show starting now. Be here or be sphere.
There you go.
So does gas get knocked out?
That's the rhetoric. That's the current rhetoric, right? Gas go down, go boom, boom, to form collimated, homogeneous layers. That's the rhetoric.
Oh, I thought it was that song. I get knocked down, but I get up again.
Yeah, literally, that's what their rhetoric says. Rumpus is only laying it out in line with the rhetoric. So according to him, gas has got a certain amount of energy in the same way a solid-bodied bouncy ball, if you throw it in the air, in the medium of air, will run out of energy and come back down as it displaces the gas. Well, according to him, that's what gas does. And according to PhD Clown Thunderfoot, that's what gas does. You throw a gas particle up in the air at 5,000 miles an hour, it reaches the Kármán line and goes, to hell with gas law, gonna burn my bra, eat a load of cakes and fall back down. Why? Well, because gravity. Well, what's gravity? Well, it's the bending of space-time, caused by the uneven distribution of mass. It's an effect. All right, so it's not going to cause you to... Details. We're eating cakes, we're burning bras, we're going back down. 5,000 miles an hour, elastic collisions, means nothing to us. We're at the Kármán line. We're here, we're atmosphere.
It's funny how he asserts that the gas is coming back down because of gravity. Why is it going up in the first place?
Yeah, gas doesn't go down. It goes up. It's coming from the ground going up. It defies gravity till it hits the Kármán line. There's nothing to hit, but we'll use that phraseology. So it defies gravity all the way up at 5,000 miles an hour, basically slams on the handbrake, does a U-turn, burns its bra, eats cakes, falls back down. Simple.
No, but what I'm saying, but you know what I'm saying, right? Like it had to come back down. It had to go up. But if gravity is a thing, why did it go up? In order for the same gravity that allowed it to go up is now making it come back down.
Oh, because the other gases around it were going down.
Okay.
How can I be begging the question? I'm asking you. In fact, I wasn't even asking a question.
How can I be begging the question? I wasn't even asking a question.
What the hell did you just say?
How can I be begging the question? I'm asking you. In fact, I wasn't even asking a question.
All right, that'll be enough.
That is classic. That is classic. And that was on Ladies' Night, right? If I remember, on 24/7.
I think so. Here's another one.
Prepare yourself.
How many times have I said fucking definitions are meaningless?
What the hell did you just say?
How many times have I said fucking definitions are meaningless?
Numpty dipshit.
Assist. No powers. Please assist.
There you go.
Perfect. And round out on that note, that was brilliant. Thank you very much indeed for that Quantum Eraser. That has really lifted my spirits. But with that, I'm going to say another massive thank you to both Discord and G+ panels for making today's after show possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you in either Nathan Oakley 1980, or if you remember watching this before it gets released, if it gets released at all, for tuning in, smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, doing all that good stuff. Hopefully you'll smash the link to the GoFundMe campaign so I can keep my show running at the highest of standards with the best of quality of sound. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.